Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds can stack back against the world, but even consider.
Hey, Book Dragons, it's your girl Lindsay. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Spine Bookcast, Chronicles of a Bookshop. I am sitting here with one of my favorite people in the entire world. Oh, don't make that face. His name is Loyd Elmore Jr., and he is one of my favorite authors and might as well be my brother from another mother. And I know that you have heard Dan, Adam, and I talk about him. So, hi, Loyd. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Lindsay, it's been a long time.
It's actually been like 30 seconds because we did an entire episode and for whatever reason, it didn't record it. So we're having to start over. So welcome to take two.
Yeah, and I disclose future lottery numbers.
Yes.
Doggone it. You missed it.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Okay.
What got you into reading?
What got me into reading was the Electric Company, because Spider-Man was on the Electric Company,
Mm-hmm.
and I love Spider-Man. And I watched the syndicated TV show. I wasn't alive when they originally showed it,
Mm-hmm.
but come to think about it, it wasn't that long.
Right.
It was relatively still new.
Sure.
She said. But I didn't know, but there was a thing called comic books,
Mm-hmm.
and Spider-Man had comic books.
Yeah.
So that got me into reading like a Wolverine. I mean, just there's another one.
I mean, there's a whole generation, our whole generation, Superman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, the X-Men, the Wonder Twins, all of it, like
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah. My go-tos, even at that young age, was, of course, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Black Panther. DC was, believe it or not, Sergeant Rock. I was into Sergeant Rock.
I think I know that.
It's World War II. It's about
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I remember my dad taking me to this flea market, and this guy had a whole box of Sergeant Rock comics for $5.
Oh,
And
nice.
I begged and begged and begged. And he finally relented. I think the guy sold it to my dad for $3.
Nice.
I ended up getting like 70 or 80 copies. And trust me, they were nowhere near in mint condition.
Sure.
But they were readable.
Yeah.
And that's all I cared about. And they had been sitting in an attic somewhere because they had that musty smell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
I love that smell.
It's like crack.
It
It's
is. I have an Alice in Wonderland book that literally is sitting in a book sleeve that's falling apart. And it's like 1913 or something ridiculously old. Oh, it still cracks when you open it. So I'm like very careful when I do look at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
There's something about it.
It really is. There's definitely a aphrodisiac moment of smelling a bookstore and dust and the crackling pages.
I love the smell of a new book.
Mm-hmm.
I love the smell of an old book.
That's why, like, I have a Kindle, but nothing will ever replace having a book physically in my hands.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually have a feeling for that. I had one of the original Kindles when it first came out, and when it warmed up and there was a smell to it. It wasn't like it was hot or anything, but it was just because it was the first of its kind. It was still kind of new, and it would warm up and there was a smell.
Oh my God.
And it was like,
that's a total sensory experience.
I get to read on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm so old.
Oh my God. I'm right there with you.
No, you're not.
I'm 47.
You know what? There was a lot that happened in those 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we're kind of close. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't look it.
Well, it's because I've pickled myself like a fine wine. Lots of sunscreen, lots of booze.
Vinegar.
So I know that we had talked about taking a book that hasn't been made into a movie and what one you would like.
Yeah.
Because Loyd is a Stephen King guy. That is his dude.
That's my dude.
Like big time. So what book did you say that you wanted?
Well, originally my favorite book was The Eyes of the Dragon, but
That's a fairy tale, isn't it?
it's written like a fairy tale for sure.
Okay.
And it's got one of those things in it that, well, you know what? When you read it, it feels a lot like, I'll say the Stephen King title, Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh my God, I love that story so much.
If you read Eyes of the Dragon, it echoes that.
Really?
Yes. Or maybe Shawshank echoes Eyes of the Dragon.
Yeah, I don't know which one came out first. So
Eyes of the Dragon.
I did. Okay.
Wait, I take that back. I don't know.
See, now I got to Google that.
But the one book that should be made into a miniseries, I won't even say a movie, a miniseries is The Talisman.
Okay.
That is my favorite Stephen King.
So give us a little bit of a summary of that because I can't remember.
There's this character, he's a boy named Jack.
Mm-hmm.
His mom is a aging Hollywood actress.
Yeah.
And she has a...
Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption was published before The Talisman. It was in 82, and then The Talisman was in 87.
Well, then the Shawshank echoes... Wait, which came first? Eyes of the Dragon or Shawshank?
Shawshank.
Okay, so there's echoing into
Eyes of the Dragon.
Eyes of the Dragon.
So anyway, we were talking about Talisman. Go ahead.
The Talisman. And they are in this resort hotel. It's off season.
Sure.
And I want to say it's Maine. It's usually Maine.
Usually is.
It's either that or it's Vermont or Connecticut. It's
yeah.
And basically there's this caretaker, this older black gentleman, who sort of recognizes him because he knows about that other side, which in the Dark Tower, it's called the not the Barons.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, he shows Jack how to flip and from this world into the next world, and he has to get across the country. Mm-hmm. So when he's in the other world, when he flips back, he's traveled a longer distance.
Sure.
And it's about the adventures that pop up along the way.
What do you think about that fan theory that I've heard recently about how it's Carrie, Christine, and a whole bunch of other, like the Dark Tower series, all of them are in that same universe with the whole other thing.
Oh, you mean, well, it's a shared world.
Yeah.
Like, this is spoilers for anybody who is listening. Like, you're talking about Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
The priest in Salem's Lot, and his name has...
Sure, yeah, I know, yeah.
He shows up in the Dark Tower.
Does he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's an all-shared world. But Randall Flagg.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love The Stand so much.
Is in multiple other books. He's in The Eyes of the Dragon. But he's somebody else. And he's...
I don't think I ever put that together.
Yeah. This is... What else? I mean, God.
That reminds me of the books that you did with what was the one that you wrote that made me cry? Maxwell and
Great Maxwell.
And then it hints back to another story that's in that same book about bouncy ball. Like that hit different. And I was like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought of the movie Deep Impact.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Which I love
so
Deep
much.
Impact. Tia Leone fan.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love a good disaster movie. Adam rolls his eyes every single time because the worse the disaster movie is, the more likely I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I love it's time for rousing the troops and, let's have the impossible scientific scenario go wryly out of proportion and, give me the horrible disaster movie every single time. I will go watch it. I love them, especially if they're really horrible, like Hurricane Heist and Moonfall was the best one. Moonfall was more fun for me to watch because of Adam's face having this, wow.
Yeah. I'm a big disaster film story person myself, but there's a limit.
Nope. I have no limit.
There's a limit. It has to stay within the realm of possibility. Even if we're talking about aliens.
Sure.
There has to be, a few strings to hold things back. Just a little bit.
What is the worst disaster movie you've ever seen? And not in a good way worse, but just awful.
Well, God, I know, because it was intentionally made that way. Sharknado.
Oh, God. I have not seen Sharknado.
I've seen the first two, and then I thought I would want to watch the rest, and no.
My worst one, and my friend M, we're just going to refer to her as M, and she'll know who I'm talking about. Her husband and I went to go see Skyfall, and it was so bad that we now refer to things as at least
Moonfall.
No, I'm talking about Sky. I think it's Skyfall.
That's James Bond. Skyfall.
No. This was a movie, and it had. Let me look it up. But we went to go see this movie because it looked like a really great alien movie. And I want to say,
It's not Skyfall.
I swear.
That's the Adele Skyfall.
No. I know that's a James Bond movie. I love James Bond. What is that movie? Because I'm sure that, no, it's Skyline. That's the movie.
Oh,
Skyline. I'm sorry. I'm going to get all kinds of grief for it. Yes.
Dexter in it.
Yes, but it is strange lights descend on the city of Los Angeles, drawing people outside like moths to a flame, where an extraterrestrial force threatens to swallow the entire human. So you're thinking, okay, this is a really cool movie. We went to go watch. We started laughing halfway into the movie. It was so bad. Skyline. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Skyline. Well, if it's as bad as Skyline Chili.
Oh my God. And we laughed till we cried. And now, 10 years later, we still have a running joke. Well, at least it's not as bad as Skyline.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was, the ending was so stupid.
I think I started watching it and I think maybe 10 or 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is wasting my time.
Yes.
There are other things
it was
rewatch.
Awful.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite? What's your favorite disaster movie?
Oh, gosh.
It could be small scale. It could be total Earth disaster.
I think Die Hard.
Die Hard, a disaster movie?
Well, okay, hang on. Let me rethink. Because I think disaster and the building blowing up.
Disaster is aliens.
Okay.
Earthquakes, floods, tornadoes.
Yeah, okay.
Shit we don't have any control over.
Okay.
Other than trying to get out of the way.
Oh, God. There's so many that I really like. I keep coming back to the Poseidon Adventure with Gene Hackman because that's the first one I have in
Shelley Winters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first major one that I remember watching with my mom going, this movie's awesome. With the ship turning upside down and Gene Hackman plays the priest but yeah. I love
the original Poseidon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they remade it and it was just
it was not bad. It's Kurt Russell. And I'll watch anything with Kurt Russell.
Yeah, no, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. What's your thought on remakes?
It depends.
Sure.
There's a certain bubble that holds certain movies that never need to be touched.
Princess Bride?
Maybe 100 years from now when I'm dead and I don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Princess Bride is in that bubble?
Yeah. Princess Bride.
I feel like Die Hard is in that bubble because you'll never replace John McClane.
No.
If I ever get kidnapped by terrorists or anything like that, I don't want anybody but John McClane coming after me because I know John McClane is going to scorch the earth.
Yeah. A lot of the big classic. Wizard of Oz should never be.
Not ever.
Casablanca.
Nope. I think Charade should never be remade. Charade. And it was because you cannot replace Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, with Thandie Newton and Mark Wahlberg. No shade to either one of them because I love them in movies. But you cannot replace Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn.
Not Audrey Hepburn.
Like ever. There is no comparison. Ever.
Yeah. But it depends. Occasionally there are remakes, I think, that are better than the original. It's rare. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me what one is, I can give you one. What's one?
Okay. So to give you some background, I'm a theater buff. I have a minor in theater. And so I have been in the stage production of West Side Story.
Okay.
I have the album on vinyl. I have the movie on DVD. I have the script. So
you're saying the Spielberg version?
I think it was excellent.
Than the original.
Yes, and I went into it fully when I tell you that no one will watch that movie with me anymore because I know all the lyrics to all the songs and all the dialogue to an annoying amount. No, like the looks that I get when I start singing the Jets song is oh dear God. And like even my husband, when we went to go see the remake with my mother-in-law and my husband, he looks at me, don't sing in this movie. And so.
No bets.
Yeah, no promises. But so when I first saw that they were going to redo it, my knee-jerk reaction was, the hell you are? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But then I saw that Steven Spielberg was into it and it was like, okay, hang on. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then I saw that if you were Puerto Rican, you were playing a Jet and he wasn't going to do brown face or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah. So he tried very hard to keep it authentic, which I appreciated. And I remember going in through, I said, if it does not start out with that whistle from the very beginning, where you get that very first song, I was going to be super pissed because that is iconic to that story.
Yeah.
And it did. And I immediately felt my face get ear to ear grin and just get psyched with anticipation of just, this is going to, and I grinned through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I did not manage to sing. I hummed and got side-eyed. But I cry at the same part every time. And this part made me cry just as hard. And so the one thing I will say that made this one better is the whole concept of, we fell in love at first sight. Well, in the Natalie Wood version, they don't really have a date. They just meet a couple times and, they're in love and great. Okay.
Yeah.
In the Steven Spielberg one, they have them go on a date where they talk. And you can see them falling in love with each other, which I thought filled in that gap of how does that happen? Yeah. It gives it that tender moment that it needed.
Okay. Well, of course, the original West Side Story is a remake in itself.
Yes. It's Romeo and Juliet, and it's so weird for me because I hate Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
Out of all the Shakespeare plays, and I love Shakespeare, I've got at least 5 different versions of his plays and complete works and poems. I hate Romeo and Juliet. It's 2 horny teenagers that had sex for the first time and thought that was love and then killed themselves over it. And it's annoying that is the introduction to Shakespeare in freshman year of high school. It drives me crazy.
Okay.
Give me Othello.
But he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
Because, your brain is not fully completely functioning until you're between 20 and 25.
No.
You've got hormones running rampant.
Yes.
Like rabid wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everything. The one bad thing, it's the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like Othello, where you have a grown-ass man and a grown-ass woman who absolutely love each other beyond all rationale, like love each other. But it also has the best villain. Iago is a badass because all he does is play the little devil on your shoulder and convinces everybody to do his bidding.
Well, that's the devil.
I mean, and that I wrote a paper actually in college about Iago because I had a professor who was the tragedies of Shakespeare was the whole class, and we went over all of them.
Yeah.
And he had us write a paper that was, if you were God and you, as your bargain with the devil, had to let one of Shakespeare's villains into heaven, who would you let in and why? And I wrote Iago. Because everybody else had free will and they chose to do things based on what Iago said, as opposed to going, do you know that Iago told me you did this? And I can't really believe that you would do this. Let's have a conversation. No, they completely were like, oh, well.
Well, he made them feel like it was their idea in the first place.
Which is the genius of it.
Which is the devil.
I mean, I love that story so much. And they've made remakes of that one that I have thought have been superb.
Okay.
So A Taming of the Shrew.
Right.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Right.
Othello was O with McKee Pfeiffer and Julia Stiles, and it was brilliant. But when that came out, it also came out right on the tails of Columbine, so it didn't get the public release that it needed. And I thought that was brilliant. And then you've got Kenneth Branagh's 50 billion remakes of Shakespeare stuff, which are all excellent.
Yeah.
I mean...
Kenneth Branagh.
I mean, right? Although he's kind of on my shit list because he cheated on Emma Thompson with Helena Bonham Carter. Although I understand the choice, but still...
Cheating is cheating.
Cheating is cheating. And it's Emma Thompson. Like, bruh.
I bet he paid for that.
Oh, I'm sure that he did. I hate remakes though, because, and I said this in the interview, every time I see that there's been a remake, I just want to point to my local author bookshelf, like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, in that picture where he's got his arms wide.
Yeah.
I just want to point to my shelf and go, what? Because like Dan's book, the Leaving Earth series. Daniel Adam, that whole series, and he shakes his head every time I say that. But I think his series would make a great series.
Oh, I do too. 100%.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, if we're talking about books being turned into movies or shows, you've got these streaming services with money at their disposal that could easily go, let's look at some self-published authors and see what they got.
If Netflix is listening, you need to talk to Elizabeth Cook. So Elizabeth Cook has written the Rising series. And it's dystopian in that, it's set just far enough in the dystopian future, like that there's been World War III and the United States is no longer the United States and it's been split up into its own different countries. But the the Opryland Hotel is now the palace for the current reigning monarch.
Okay.
And so if you've ever been in the Opryland Hotel, the places that she describes in there are like I know what garden that is. And, whatever. So her ultimate dream would be to have a book release party that was like a grand ball.
Or at the Opryland Hotel.
It's expensive.
But still.
Right. It's hell.
Still be a dream.
Mm-hmm. It's a hellaciously expensive. It's a lot. We checked. But, Netflix needs to talk to her because it's almost like the Hunger Games meets Bridgerton.
Okay. I know of one of those series.
Yeah. So it's mildly dystopian, and it's about finding the person that knows you for you. But it's definitely the whole ball gowns, and she and I are obsessed with ball gowns now. It's ridiculous. But I really wish that there's a lot of books on the bookshelf in the shop that I think would make great series.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I really do. So, what book that's been made into a TV series do you not like, or would you change? You're welcome.
The one that I started watching, it was on Amazon. Is it Amazon? Shit, I don't remember. It was has Rebecca Ferguson in it. There's 3 books. There's Dust.
Oh, the Silo series.
The Silo series.
Yes.
They need to. I don't have a complaint about it because it was. I had not read the book. I knew it was based on.
I haven't read the books either.
And I started watching this show because I love Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, no, me too.
And she is excellent in this. The whole show is
I was bored.
Excellent. Really?
Yeah.
It pulled me in. I wanted more, and I still want more. And I don't know how long it's going to be before the next.
I tried to watch the first season. I got about 6 episodes in, and I was so bored.
It paid off.
Does it?
Oh yeah, because I was like, in my head, I was doing a Lindsay. Oh my god! But outside, I'm like,
is that a thing? I'm a verb now.
100% thing. Oh my god!
You and Dan make fun of me.
Dan.
A lot about that.
I mean, what was her name on Friends? Janice.
Oh my god!
But you don't drag it out.
No, I just get really excited.
It's okay. It's okay.
I really love literature. It excites me.
That's perfectly okay.
But you and Dan make fun of me because Dan will watch TV shows with me, and I'm like, oh, I love him. And it's because I've seen everything under the sun. And then you make fun of me because I'll be reading and have this, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a meme. It's a Lindsay meme.
Yeah, well, I have my own hashtag. Hashtag because Lindsay.
Oh, but that's right.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, if I become a meme, I will come hunt you all down. I promise.
Yeah. As for a show or something that should be done better, there's probably a bunch, but who am I?
Yeah. You're a reader.
I'm a reader. I can't complain about a book. I mean, if I don't like it, I don't know where I'm going with this.
It takes me about 2 chapters before I
Yeah.
If I'm not into it, if you don't grab me within 2 chapters, I start to struggle and I don't want to finish the book.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I might give it a little bit more just because I probably bought the hardback. I'm like, oh, geez. What was a book that I had? It was, what? Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say. There was a book that I bought recently and tried to get into it. It wasn't anybody local. It wasn't anybody like that. It was like a book that had sold 1 million copies, and I just
I've had that.
I got rid of it. I was like, no, I don't.
There was a book, and I'm not going to mention it either because it's just it was on TikTok, and everybody was losing their minds. And the concept of this book was really cool because you were supposed to read it with your phone, because if you screenshot, took your camera and held it up to certain things on the book, certain visuals would pop up.
Okay.
And then there were certain QRG, whatever, the code that would be in the book, and you'd hold your phone up to the book and visuals would come up, right?
Yeah.
And it came... And this should have been my first sign that this might not be for me. But it came with a dictionary that was a couple pages long.
Yeah, fuck that.
And a name pronunciation guide that was a couple pages long. And I was like, I'm going to have to work to read this book. And if reading your book becomes a chore for me, that I have to stop in the middle of reading it to look up how to pronounce somebody's name, or look up what a word means so that I can it takes me out of the story. And it just, okay, and I just, yeah, I was just like, this is.
The last book or set of books that I will allow that is probably Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Before that's Lord of the Rings. That I don't mind.
Yeah.
But anything after that, don't make me work hard to read your book.
Yeah.
Let me lay down or sit or enjoy it.
And just get into it.
Yeah.
So what is one thing that if you see it on a book that like that's an immediate pick up and look at and buy?
Okay. It seems like, and this is like I said before, looking at it. I mean, like flipping it over. And
Sure.
what it's about. Strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
I love strong female characters.
Me too.
They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be Wonder Woman.
Perfect is boring.
Yeah, but Batgirl, is more.
Sure.
What's something else?
I'm talking about visual wise. Like if you see it on a bookshelf.
Yeah, like they have a strong female character on the cover.
Front. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what else. It's something that I'm going to start looking into doing it for myself is minimalist covers with, you can have big splashes of this and this shit.
Yeah.
But just one little or two little images that in a way tells the whole story.
C.K. Madrid, who is one of our newest authors, did that. So if you look at her book, Glows, it has a silhouette of a man and a silhouette of a woman, very Victorian lace connecting the two as a frame. And then it just has her title, Glows, in the middle. That's it. That's the book cover. Yeah. And it's and the color of the word glows is almost an iridescent kind of yellowish green, not like a neon green like Nerdy, but almost a yellowish green,
not a
like
90s neon.
No, green. More like a halo. Or would it be 80s? Like like a yellowish, iridescent halo kind of yellow green.
Okay.
And that's all. That's it. That's the cover, and it immediately made me want. I'm a cover junkie. Like, give me something that immediately makes. What the hell is that? You know. And hers reminds me of what you're talking about because there's no big thing. It's just the border with two faces and the title. Yeah. That's it. And it's just, and your title, Malcolm's Bridge, looks like that too. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. Because that little bit of picture in I want to stare at it and look at all the little bitty details in there because the biggest thing, it takes you a minute to realize that's an eye. Yeah. Which I think is amazing.
That little picture, Joanne Matthews is the one who did the cover art.
It's amazing.
And she usually does landscapes. She likes to do, she does portraits, but it's like Southwest, Western is more of her genre. But I just said, look, I need an eye. I need an eye. And, can you make one? Yeah. And so she nailed it. But that little picture is what I added in the middle. And if you knew what that picture was, it's
once
weird.
you read the book, it's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great book though.
Oh, thank you.
Oh God. I love,
I had some good editors on that.
Yes.
Dan.
Yeah. So Dan and Loyd have shared each other's book with beta reading. And so Dan kind of joked that, you got all the grammar. I got all the emotional stuff because I would be reading his stuff and have comments like, oh my God, and what is wrong with you? And okay, this is really good. And so Dan and I had the conversation about his book about how sometimes in sci-fi books, the science goes way over your head.
Yes.
Like a Michael Crichton's book, the one where they go down to South America with Congo. The science behind all of that was so far above my head that I did not enjoy reading that book because it made me feel stupid. Yeah. And I, had told Dan and I had that conversation. So when I was beta reading his third book, that was one of the main questions from him is, how's the science? Like, do you understand what I'm trying, Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so. I like that too. And those kind of books where they're giving you formulas. And honestly, I don't give a shit.
Care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Just,
I'm with you.
Give me some characters that I trust.
Yeah.
And go, what they say, I believe it.
Sure.
Whether they're a good guy or bad guy, what they say.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on board with that. No problem.
You know, if you want to sprinkle a little, it's like they had to use calculus and trigonometry.
Andy Weir's book, The Martian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. You're a space pirate and you have, through poop, grown potatoes. Yep. Fine. I am with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, God. I love that. The fact that book, the very first line in that book is, I am so fucked.
Yeah.
Like any book that starts out that way, you just kind of want to go, okay, wait, we got to
cancel my calls.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere today.
Yes. Just leave me alone. And then the adaptation of the movie, when I heard that Matt Damon was doing it, I thought, okay, and then we went to go watch it and it was just the right amount of humor. And even though in the ending what's going to happen, you're sitting on pins and needles when he is Iron Manning his way to what's her name. And but it's just like, oh my God. And then, and I cry every time of just relief.
The part where he makes it to the ship and he's, they show him changing, and he is a stick.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to where he was.
Yeah.
And he's dusty.
And he stinks.
You know that if there were flies, they would be all.
Yeah.
And when he gets inside the capsule after he's looking up at that piece of tarp.
Yeah.
And he starts getting emotional and upset. You feel it.
Oh God.
You feel it. And I felt it in the book.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
I love books. That's one of the reasons that I get so excited about books is you get that just Jesus. Oh my God. And just that insanely tight emotional reaction to stuff where you're just, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah. When you can make reality peel away and it's just, this is your world for right now.
Yes.
You've done something good.
You know that your books, when I first read The Spaces Between Spaces, I remember thinking, this reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode. And I say that because every book reader I know knows the Twilight Zone episode that I'm talking about with Burgess Meredith, where if you have never seen this episode is the most gutting, heartbreaking episode that I've ever seen in my life. Burgess Meredith, it's Burgess Meredith, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So he has these Coke bottle thick glasses and he works at a bank and he goes on his lunch break into the vault to read every day. And he has this emasculating bitch of a wife who destroys his favorite book in front of him because she hates that he reads.
Horrible boss.
And so one day he decides to go into the bank vault to read on his lunch break. And there, for some reason, a nuclear bomb hits and destroys everything. And he comes out of the vault and everything is gone. And he's walking around trying to figure out what the hell has happened. And the only reason he survived because he was in the bank vault, right?
Right.
And he realizes he comes upon the New York Public Library. And every book reader in their whole life kind of goes, I can read now, which is what he does. And he goes around and he piles all these books that he's always wanted to read in the orders and stacks that he wants to read them in. And he's like, there's plenty of time now. There's plenty of time. And then he trips and breaks his glasses and sits down and starts crying. It's not fair. It's the only Twilight Zone episode that has just absolutely left me completely gutted and sobbing.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I would have found an eyeglass shop and started trying stuff on so I could find something to help me read.
Oh, yeah. I would at least held the pieces up to my eyes.
I mean, I would have super glued things together to figure, you know what I mean? But just him sitting there, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Just,
That was probably one of the darkest.
It destroyed me.
Yeah. That
Like way worse than like the Nazi ones or the scary death ones. That one was just guttural grief.
yeah. Did you ever know the story why, and this is what I heard.
Mm.
Rod Serling was in World War II. He was in the Pacific.
I knew that, yeah.
And there was a day, we all hear about the European theater.
Sure.
But the Pacific was just absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Not enough food.
Yeah.
Our soldiers were starving.
Sure.
So he tells a story, and this is a true story of they were out on the beach, and it was a bunch of them, and there was this guy, and he was telling a story, and it had everybody forgetting about how hungry they were, and the whole, they were in paradise, but they were in hell, basically. And this guy was telling this story about, I don't know what it was about, and everybody's just riveted. They are in it.
Sure.
And then he switches the end at the last, and it just freaks everybody out. Right?
Oh my gosh.
While this is going on, the military, U.S. military, are dropping supplies down. Big crates full of food and stuff. They're so riveted. They had heard the planes, but they didn't register. The guy that told the story had just got a cigarette from Rod Serling. You would think it would be Rod Serling telling the story, but it wasn't. And he takes the cigarette and he stands back. One of the crates lands on him and decapitates
Shut up.
him. This is a actual thing that happened. And he never forgot that, which, how can you forget that?
Holy
You're standing
shit.
just feet away from
No.
that seeded him the Twilight Zone.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right there. Beautiful blue skies. You don't realize, because the guy is telling a story so riveting.
Oh my God.
You don't realize that there's this ton crate with there's parachutes, but
still
they don't.
Holy crap. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is jacked up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I read that. I heard that on a podcast, and I was like, oh man. So that started it. That's what began. And because of that, it sort of began me.
It is so weird, the path that your brain takes for ideas.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
The littlest thing here.
Yeah. Like the story that I'm now going to have to rewrite because it's disappeared off my iPad, and I'm going to have to find somebody to see if I can recover it. But the whole thing got started in my head because of a postcard. I saw a postcard that said, "Welcome to Washington." And I have changed it to "Welcome to Oregon." And I have this whole story in my head that I now have to rewrite again for the third time.
God, but still those seeds.
It's so weird, the things that pop in your head. And then the power of a good storyteller too is the things that stick with you. Like if you've ever seen Jordan Peele, the Get Out,
yes.
The whole spoon on the teacup thing. Every time I hear that now, I twitch. It just stresses me out.
Right,
that noise of the
feel yourself going.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Every time I hear that scraping noise, it's like
Jordan Peele's a genius.
Oh my God! Right?
Yeah.
Just yeah. And like Doctor Who, the statues of the angels. I know it's a story, but every time I see one, I side-eye it and involuntarily start stepping away. Without
keeping your eyes full on it.
Yeah, like
That's sneaky.
And I realize it's ridiculous, but in your brain, that immediately is like, I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the seeds. I like little things that you noticed, and it could be stuff from when you were a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and it all of a sudden, decades later, it
Mhm.
blooms
Mhm.
into an idea.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Well, I mean, look at my bookstore. I wanted to be a bookstore owner since I was 15 years old. And I have that. Still, you've seen that notebook that's got duct tape on it and Post-it notes and things hanging out of it and a rubber band keeping it together at this point. I've had that since I was 15.
Yeah.
And I wanted to own a bookshop since I was 15. And, if my friend Tammy had not, during COVID, I got laid off and she was like, well, you're going to get off your ass and start your bookshop or you're going to keep talking about it. And it was my 45th birthday and I was having a little pity party. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And here I am almost 3 years later with I got friends as authors.
Yeah.
Or authors as friends. And, I have my bookshop and I get to experience all of my favorite things. And then I get to call you guys and text you. Why are you trying to hurt me?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Next time you do that to me, I was like, wait till you get to the next word.
Oh, my.
Leave it at that.
Yes. So your wife and my friend Wendy, Dan's wife, have both said, you're not allowed to text our husbands at 11 o'clock at night anymore. Well, then tell them to stop sending me books that give me all kinds of conniptions. Because, oh my God.
Well, it's working then.
Yes.
If it does that.
It very much is an emotional. So in Dan's third book, I texted him so he gave us the book and I started it and I think I finished it at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and texted him, what is wrong with you? And he was just like, are you finished? Yes. What is wrong with you? Why? Why would you do A, B, and C?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a distinct part in that book where I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, Dan.
You son of a...
But, sometimes those things have to happen.
Well, and I think that's what makes you guys such good writers is that I am such an attached reader when I really get into a book.
Yeah.
That if I know you and I'm reading your book and something that just cleaves me in half.
Yeah.
I want to beat you in the face about it because it's so I'm having such a visceral reaction to what is happening because I'm so into your book.
Then we did our job.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as it doesn't turn into, misery.
No. Oh my God. That whole book, Jesus.
Yeah.
That whole book and then the subsequent movie that followed gives me such anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Except the difference is, I like the difference between the movie than the book. Because in the book, spoilers, she cuts off his foot.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of hobbling. Because I can. What's weird is there are certain things that bother me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But anything with chest but cutting off a foot, I'd be like, okay.
The hobbling.
The sledgehammer with the 4x4 wedge in between.
That hurt me in my soul.
It's one I cringe. And I
every
don't
time.
A lot. I go, ooh.
That's where you got to stand up and kind of go,
I'm doing this.
My ankles
leg.
hurt.
I can move it.
Just watching that, my thighs clenched and I got a fist in my hand at the.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That needs therapy to recover from kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what the original ending of that book was?
I can't remember because I know I read it, but I can't remember.
It's what she intended the whole time was that Paul was to finish this book to bring misery back to life.
Yeah.
And after he was done, Spoilers. It's going to end. The book was going to end where she is in the house. She didn't die. Misery the pig, who she told Paul she was going to take the skin from Misery and make a pig skin cover out of it. Misery is outside eating, but then you see this skin-covered book, and it's really Paul's
Oh my God.
skin.
That is so much worse.
That's awesome. Because you think, okay, this guy, he's going to get away. She's going to let him go. Nope. No, the rest of him is the pigs are eating.
Oh my God, that is so much worse.
The skin is,
Jesus.
forever.
Stephen King needs therapy.
Oh, don't anybody. I don't want any therapist getting near him.
Did you watch Kingdom Hospital?
Yeah.
That was twisted. I want to know what kind of drugs he was on in the hospital, because just the anteater aardvark thing alone with the teeth.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I started watching it and I was like, I don't think, did he write that?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah, because remember, he got hit by a truck when he was jogging.
It was a minivan.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, that had nothing to do with Kingdom Hospital.
In the beginning of this series, the rider is jogging on the side of the road and he gets hit by a truck and he's in the hospital and he's in a coma. And so everything that happens in Kingdom Hospital is while he's in a coma.
Okay. I think I started watching it and I just didn't finish.
It is weird.
Okay. Because I know he was in the middle of writing when he got hit.
Well, that book is weird.
Kingdom Hospital?
Uh-huh.
They make that into a book, or is that a short?
I think it was a short story, and they made it into a mini series.
Okay.
When TV used to do like movie of the week on Sunday nights or something, and it was a mini series.
I miss those days.
I do too.
Every summer, or every other summer, they would they did it, and they did The Stand, and they did
Tommy Knockers, also a good one.
Yeah, Bronson Pinchot is the.
Oh my God. Randall Flagg is still my favorite villain out of all the villains in Stephen King. No, actually, okay. Randall Flagg in a second. The clown.
Oh, Pennywise.
Pennywise messed up an entire generation of kids.
Oh, God, yeah.
The trauma of that fucking clown.
Yeah. I still debate.
I hate clowns.
I still debate who's better, Tim Curry or Peter Skarsgård.
I think Peter Skarsgård is scary.
Oh, the thing he does with the lip and his eye that he actually does.
But I think Tim Curry's it was creepy.
Yeah.
It's a different type of scary. You know, like Skarsgård is menacing and terrifying, and like there's not enough therapy in the entire world that will recover you from that.
Yeah.
But then Tim Curry's is just, you know what I mean? Which is a praise on both of them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And thank you guys all for listening to this episode of the Spine Bookcast. And just so you know, the Spine Bookshop is trying to raise money so that we can move into our own venue. And so I'm going to attach the GoFundMe link onto this episode. So if you do feel so inclined and donating to a small independent bookshop so that we can grow and do more author events, we would really appreciate it. And the link will be on this episode. So thank you so much, Loyd, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening to the Spine Bookcast, Chronicles of a Bookshop. Happy reading.
To whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worry. I get it, the odds can stack back against the wall, but even consider it such, no, you'll stand tall.